imagination, creativity, and the power of ideas. Namaste, and a very good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of the entire design thinking community, it is my extreme privilege to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Mrs. Kavya Chandrashekar, our other chairman, Sir Dr. M. Srinivasan, beloved Saanvi ma'am, Honorable Executive Director, Mr. Zaveer sir, very dear Principal Namini Bhatt ma'am, respected mentors, and our all enthusiastic gearbox. To shed more light on the profound area of conducting this program, the process of design thinking, and the rounds conducted, I would now like to invite Aarti ma'am, our esteemed faculty, to share her insights.
Thank you, Shanti ma'am. Namaste all. I know it's a big event and we can see the children are a little nervous. So just to cool them down, we'll start with a very small story which we'll see how it connects to design thinking. In around 1948, there is a man, this is a real life story. There is a man who wants to venture into Agrawal business. So he doesn't have enough money to go for a startup. So with minimal money that he has, he goes to market, buys the raw material, makes something, the incense sticks, sells it the next day, and then from the profit, again the process continues. This is how it started. And then he realized there needs to be something unique to stay strong in the field. So what he did, we don't have Amazon one-day delivery or a Kindle ebook in 1950s. So he ordered books about perfumery, and he imported those books, which took more than 6 months to come. And then he studied all those, and he set up an in-house perfumery lab. And then he was experimenting on different fragrances that we could get. And then he was trying different options. So how he goes to market, he will go to common grocery shops nearby, and then he will light these incense sticks. And because they were unique, the fragrances attracted the customers. So that became a selling point, and then he tied up with all those small shops. Every day he will go distribute those and then come. This started to create a brand. But after a few years, he found some of his customers were actually buying other brand. So he continued to survey his customers, and when he was checking with one of his customers, he was saying that I'm feeling bored with the same smell. This actually introduced this idea. Then he came back and he created the 3-in-1 pack. Now can you all guess which company we are talking about? Cycle. So it's Cycle 3-in-1. So which was started by the Iyengar group of companies which is a multi-billion-dollar company. So it starts with this. So how are we connecting the story to design thinking? Design thinking is not entirely new. It had been practiced in different fashions at different stages. But it evolved into a process as what it is today, commonly known as with 5-stage process, where we have empathy being the center. The first stage that we are looking at, know the user. The user is the key. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. Your key is to find what they want. Then, did we have empathy in the previous example? In multiple cases, did we check with the customer? Second stage is define. You are defining the problem. The first time, you identify it needs to be unique. The second time, you identify that there is a change that is happening and you need to adapt to get into 3-in-1. The third stage that we are looking at is ideate. So once you define a problem, you come up with multiple solutions, and then you pick on one which you think is the one which we are going to take it forward. Then fourth step comes prototype. You test something, and then fifth stage goes on to test. You test with your customers and then go. The example that I gave was in 1950s, 60s when design thinking was not even popular. But it is exactly a similar approach with a little variant, which is what had been followed by many successful people. So I think this sets the context of what we want to see in design thinking. Multiple companies today follow. IDEO is very famous in 1990s. They popularized this scheme, but multiple companies follow, like Google, Amazon. They have their own variants of this model. It is applied in every sector, not just tech. GE created MRI missions based on feedback, and Embrace, which is a comparatively small startup company, they were working with, it's a non-profit organization they were tying up with, to create, where incubators are not there, they wanted to create something where there is no electricity, they wanted to create something to support the babies. The neonatal, to kind of eliminate the neonatal fatalities that they were actually looking at. So it's in every sector, in every pharma. I'm so happy that what today, our chairman sir has been a pioneer in kind of starting all these things well ahead of time. We started design, so proud to say that we started design thinking in 2019. What today CBSE and in other schools or other colleges or universities are trying to promote today. So we have a 5-year lead. So I think the children, to inculcate this process in the children, again process is more important. They have crossed a qualifier round. They came up with their own ideas. The entire process I defined, they have gone through this. So this will set a base for them to become successful entrepreneurs or whatever they are going to become in future. This will set a strong base. A very big all the best to all the 5 teams, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Auntie Ma'am, for taking us throughout the process, how it was, and I'm sure she has ignited the spark to start the program. Before that, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. It was said by Steve Jobs. We are honored to welcome Ms. Kavya Chandrashekar among us today, a luminary in the realm of design and innovation. Her extraordinary accomplishments truly mirror the ethos of our event. Ms. Kavya Chandrashekar is the co-founder and creative head of the Design Venue, an academy specializing in guiding students for design, fashion, and architecture entrance exams globally. With over a decade of experience, she led the academy's expansion to 6 centers in Bangalore, along with the centers in Indore and Trivandrum. Her expertise spans workshops, career counseling, and a decade-long background in architecture and interior design, including heading successful projects. Notably, she contributed to winning the Virtual Merchandising and Retail Design Award and served as a panelist ranking design colleges nationwide. Additionally, she has judged prestigious design competitions and presented acclaimed papers like Conceptual Thinking and Built Reality at esteemed platforms. Her passion for mentoring resonates deeply while she delves into the realms of the built environment, holding a master's in architecture from RV College of Architecture. So ma'am would be joining us on the panel. Joining her on the judges panel is our Executive Director, Mr. Sarvesh Srinivasan. He's fully involved in the smooth operations of the school and has enabled the amazing infrastructure of the school. He's passionate about design and living sustainably. We also have Ms. Nikki Podar, our Senior Computer Science Mentor, on the judges panel as well. Now, I would like to invite Shweta ma'am to kindly take it forward. Before that, I would request Naval from grade 11M to kindly give the token of appreciation to Kavya ma'am.
Welcome ma'am, welcome everyone. So now I have a very amazing task to introduce the 5 teams, and one of the team reps will come and join us here. The rest are here. So we start with grade 8. So grade 8 we have lead finalist Vagish, Agarwal and Upasana. Would you like to introduce your topic?
Namaste, my name is Vagish. So my teammates are Neil and Upasana. So the topic we chose to solve for this was actually PTM streamlining. Like the reason we chose to solve this problem was because we are personally attached to this as it is a very important part in our education, and we also wanted to help our beloved teachers.
Thank you so much. The second team is from grade 9, Tamanna, Sukesh, Varen, and Saanvi, Prasanna. Tamanna is here.
Namaste everyone, I'm Tamanna. I'll be representing our grade 9 team. My teammates are Saanvi and Varen. So about our topic, when we formed our group, we realized we were really interested in nature. So the topic we chose was actually forest fire resilience, which would be a way to sustainably solve the crisis of forest fires.
Thank you so much. The third team is from grade 10, that is Advaitaa Singh, Geet, Mitra, and Alankrata.
Namaste. We designed a smart assistive cane that consists of 3 elements. The reason we did this was because we realized we're living in the 21st century and we have flying cars now, but still a small section of our society, all the blind individuals in the world, which is 36 million people, still are using a 19th century tool. So it was important that we needed to improve their status and also.
Thank you, Geet. From grade 11, we have Soham Agarwal, Moiz Delvi, and Aditya Gudi.
Namaste everyone. My 2 teammates are Aditya and Moiz. We're all from 11K. So the problem that we worked on for design thinking was that parents have to compromise on their own sleep to make sure that babies get the sleep that they need and maintain a good sleep schedule. So the reason that we wanted to do this is because modern solutions, which is like TVs and lullabies, they may cause addiction or dependence for the child, and also they may instill values in the child that the parents may not want.
Thank you so much. And the last team is from grade 12. We have Skanda, Arihant Singh, and Venkata Rishi. All 3 want to come up.
A very good morning to everyone present here. I am Arihant Singh and these are my teammates Skanda and Rishi. For this design thinking competition, we made a business model called Growbox. What is Growbox? Growbox is a company which aims to promote home gardening by providing convenient gardening kits, easy to follow instructions, and advanced AI system to enhance the quality of our system. We chose this project because we feel the ideology behind our project is that we want to foster bonds and promote mental health care. And gardening helps, and especially growing your own food, like growing your own crop, it promotes that sense of security, the mental security. And that's why we have chosen this project.
Thank you so much. So many amazing topics we have, and we also have a very special guest here. We have Sai Krish. He was last year's winner. Please join us on the panel. So that's our golden team for this year. The rest is sitting here. So all the golden children, all the best. We would request sir to start the discussion.
Okay. Let me start with the question. How many of you are tens? You are also tens. Okay. Is tension good or bad? If somebody asks you to do some research and come out with something to either enhance tension if it is good, or reduce it if it is not good, what would you do? The tension can be because of any reason. Mainly exam, something unknown, or something that is bothering you which is demanding your attention. Okay? You can imagine your own tension and your own solution. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. Let it go.
Yeah, so I don't think tension is bad per se, because without tension you don't exactly get that motive to prepare. Because when I'm tense per se for an exam, like the day before I'm really tense, I will study a lot and I will do better. If I wasn't tensed, I'd probably be like a little more eased off. So I think tension is good in some cases.
So how do you enhance it?
Enhance tension?
Yeah, because if it is good, it will enhance it.
I mean, that's a very personal thing, right? It depends on you and depends on how you can enhance tension. So there's no real...
How would you enhance your tension because it is positive for you?
I mean, I just think about the exam a lot.
Aditya will be taking the question for us.
Namaste, sir. So I feel that tension, it really depends on your drive as a person. So tension could be positive or negative based on you as a person. So someone who does not have strong will, if he experiences tension, he could crumble under the pressure. But someone who likes these situations, who has a strong will, good personality, could really benefit from this. So myself, of course, I'm a procrastinator a little bit. So but I do think I work well under tension. So to enhance my own tension, I would give myself goals with sharp deadlines, so I feel more pressure to do that. And I feel like with my willpower and my personality, I could definitely not crumble under the pressure and really use that tension for good.
Okay.
I personally feel that tension for me is not a good thing because I get tense a lot. Like right now, I am internally dying inside.
Please don't.
But to diffuse this tension, I think I would like something sort of like a friend, something that could cool me down, someone to talk to maybe. But obviously that's not possible over here. So maybe we could create a device, something like a watch. Like I can't really explain it. I've not formed the idea clearly in my mind, but something that could diffuse the tension and send neurological signals that could diffuse your tension and something that calms you down.
For me, I wouldn't really take tension as a negative because for me personally, when you're more tense, you have the urge to immediately reduce your tension. So let's say I get the example of studying for an exam. I'm really tense. So I would most likely study more and more to reduce my tension so that I will be less tense for the exam that's upcoming. So I feel like tension is a good thing because it automatically makes you more prepared for any situation that you're tensed for. So
according to me, tension is a bad thing. So as you saw at the starting, I wasn't very fluent with my words because I was very tense. So then, so suppose I'm tense during exam, I try to solve more questions of the subject, or if I'm generally tense, I like to have someone around. So yeah.
Yeah, let's listen to Dish also because you also said you're tense.
Yeah, well, I really like the answers from our panelists. And actually, you went back on something that you said that I'd just talk to a friend. I would personally do that. I really like that answer. And in terms of how you would enhance that tension, if it was up to me, I'd just find a way so that it doesn't overwhelm you, because otherwise tension does drive a lot of people. So I would say it's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes, but you've got to find that balance.
Yeah, good. You have something good, something bad. More than that, there is something called real. This will be a combination of both. You should always think about it. If you think about your problems, you have a solution. If you can think of others' problems ahead of time, you will have better solutions. That's what we used to study as problem finding. Now they have bundled everything together as design thinking. It's good. So go ahead, don't feel tense at all, but feel confident. Confidence will create some butterflies in your stomach, that's fine. But don't have chicken in your stomach. Okay, go ahead, please.
Well, good morning and all the best to all the panelists. We've been talking so much about design thinking, and I'm sure you've applied that in all the tools that you've been working on. You did identify a problem, right? So design is not just solving a problem, but it's also identifying a problem. What were the different things that you kept in mind before you decided on this unique problem that you've gone ahead to address? What were the various problems you encountered or decided on before you finalized on the ones that you went ahead and addressed? You've chosen one, I think that's the grow box, right? So what were the others that you came ahead, and why did you go ahead with grow box in particular?
Arihant, my teammate, would like to answer this question.
Sure.
Me, Skanda and Rishi have conducted various brainstorming and mind mapping sessions, and in those brainstorming sessions we have noted down all the problems which we feel are affecting our society in a very troublesome way, And one of those problems was actually a unique problem was that Rishi came up with it was a bucket. Like we all know that overflowing of buckets is a major issue in our homes. So in some ways in which we can limit the overflowing of buckets. So that was one of the problems we came up. Next problem was about capitalism. It was more social based. It was about what are the negative effects of capitalism and how we can limit those. Those are some problems, but finally we settled down on this one grow box that we see people getting tense a lot in our day-to-day lives, especially we are so engaged in our day-to-day lives that we are not able to take out time for ourselves. And I've seen many examples, especially Rishi also has seen that kind of impact which gardening and growing your own crop, growing your own food has on the people. So we came up with this topic. We conducted surveys, like that was part of our empathize step that we conducted surveys. In research, we conducted a survey, we got the results, we analyzed the information, and we came up with and then we came up with the problem, defined step, we defined the problem. And in that we have continued to follow the design thinking process.
So the main idea was to ease tension.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your thing that you were trying to solve with this?
It's one of the ideas, various ideologies for fostering of bonds. We feel like within the family, we are not, like there's no fostering of bonds. Everybody is engaged in their own things. Like, I'll go home, I'll study, my dad will be focusing on his job, my mother will be focusing on her job. So we are not coming together. But if you see, with gardening and growing your own, growing your own vegetables in your own garden, so if the entire family comes together, they grow their own vegetable. So in that way, fostering of bonds is encouraged. Improvement of mental health was one other aspect of our project. Then sustainability is also one big factor in which we have chosen this project. And holistic inclusivity, like every age, from even like 4 years till elderly is like 70 years. So like everyone can participate in this activity. And these are some of the main ideologies behind our project.
Something that unifies everyone together as well.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, the reason that we chose this problem is because it's very personal to us. So, we all had a very good upbringing, right? But nowadays we see that a lot of small children, they're addicted to their phones. Like they cannot eat without them, they cannot go out without them, they cannot do anything without them. And also parents have also grown to be dependent on them to make their child calm down. Or he's crying, let's just show him a lullaby on YouTube. So this is a very personal thing to me because I feel that every kid should have the opportunity to bond with their parents, and they should have time with their parents, and they should not have some external thing that they need to have a sound upbringing.
What were the other problems that you shortlisted before finalizing on this?
We actually did not have a lot of ideas. We wanted to look at something that was very close to all of us, which all of us could experience and all of us could see. So we actually did have very other ideas. So.
You look at something that was more relatable to
Yeah, very relatable to everyone.
So my teammate Upasana would like to answer it.
Namaste. Thank you for the question. Actually, we thought of.
You can go under the man.
Yeah, we actually at first when we researched on design thinking, we realized that there was like a certain way of how it worked and how we approached a certain problem, and we saw that there was something called empathy in there. So we wanted to see like what exactly what are the certain problems that we as humans normally face in like in our daily lives. And we saw traffic, right? And I saw that traffic usually causes a lot of problems like noise pollution, and that leads to cardiovascular diseases and cardiometabolic diseases. But then as we saw that it's normally a pretty common problem that a lot of people chose, we decided to move it to a more personal level, and then we realized, wait, PTMs, parent-teacher meetings, which are quite essential for a child's development. It's not really accessible due to the chaos we face normally during PTM. So we wanted to choose something like that, and we started working on PTMs in that case. So yeah.
So for us, when we came together as a group, we all knew we wanted to do something related to the environment or nature. So we knew it would be a slightly larger scale project, which we might not be able to correctly execute with the materials that we have at school. So we had already shortlisted a couple of natural disaster resilience. That's where we started. So from there, we went into forest fires. We had shortlisted floods, earthquakes, but we realized that forest fires is something that was very less spoken about. It's very unknown, it's a very unusual thing, but in reality, it's not at all the case. Forest fires are always happening, so we wanted to take a topic that needs immediate attention, which it isn't receiving.
My teammate Alankrata will be taking this.
Namaste. Thank you for the question. So earlier as soon as we got the thing that we selected for the design thinking second round, our minds, they were just everywhere. We just thought of every single thing that affected us. But the problem is that when you find a problem, you need to find reliable sources. You can't create a problem for your solution. So initially we thought about, lunch trays, because we all are, I'm a school lunch. So every day over there it's written that you wasted 13.1 kgs of food today. So we originally thought of, creating something like that, minimize food wastage. But then we needed more resources also to a certain extent. Then our second idea was that, distraction. That's something that, most of us would relate to because it's everywhere. Our original idea was that, there'd be some shockwave that'll send you to a brain, but that's a bit maniac if you look at it. But that's how it was. Then finally we settled on Singhai, which is our kit. Our kit is basically made up of three things, which is the cane, the goggles, and an earpiece. So when we, designed this stick for the blind, why the blind? See, when the stick was originally designed, right, it was designed for a static environment. It wasn't, it doesn't keep up with the way of, everything that's happening today. And when we, designed about it, when we were designing different aspects of it, we wanted to, bring something to the table. What can we add different to it, right? So we started combining it with AI. Because AI is an aspect that, in the future it's going to be everywhere. We can already envision it. So that's one thing. So further it adds, as I've said, AI over here. So the thing about our project is to make it more inclusive, and the person using it to, use it in such a manner that they can operate it in as normal situation as possible. They can feel that they are included. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste everybody. I hope you all now a bit less tense than earlier, since you're in your comfort zone and talking about your projects. Going back to what Aarti ma'am shared about the 5-step process of design thinking and how the whole process is more important than the product. You've at the moment through ma'am's questions touched upon your whole ideation, empathy and defining steps. I would like you to go into a bit detail, maybe 1 or 2 lines about your prototyping, testing phases to kind of complete the process of the design thinking award. As to, okay, what were your challenges faced, how do you overcome them, how do you test it, how do you build your prototype, where did you go back and forth to finally arrive at your final product, and try and keep aware of time limit as well. Thank you.
Arihant seems very eager to take this question, so go ahead.
We very well kept in mind the design thinking process. Design thinking is a very user-centric and solution-based approach to creative problem solving. So, there are 5 steps, the 5 phases in design thinking: empathy, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and testing. So for the empathize phase, it's more about getting into the shoes of your customer. Like you should think like your customer, see what problems they face. So for that there's one method of sending out surveys. So we sent out a survey and we gathered all the results, and from that we ended our empathy stage. Next we went on the defining stage. So from the results we got from the survey, we defined our problem statement about home gardening. So we defined the problem statement, and then after defining the problem statement, we went to ideate stage. So in ideate stage, like we conducted various brainstorming sessions. Brainstorming is one of the most brilliant ways in which you can come up with solutions. You don't have, and the biggest factor in this that we are not judgmental of each other's solutions. That's a big factor in coming up with ideal solutions. So in ideate stage, we formulated all the solutions in a Google Doc, like various Google Docs we created, and we wrote down all the solutions which we think will affect our product in a positive manner. And after that comes the prototype stage. So for this, we kind of divided the work between us because there are 3 sections of our entire business. One is the building of this physical prototype, is this box which contains all the necessary tools for gardening, and this is what we will send out to all the people who apply for our service. The next part was the website creation and all the social features, which were handled by Rishi. He created a website, he inculcated a lot of social features in it, which helped improve our customer retention and like build an entire community around the product. The next stage was AI. So like in some ways we wanted to involve AI as well, and in that Skanda has helped a lot. He has created a CNN model which helps in disease identification. So they can scan the plant and then they will send us they will scan the plant, and his model will identify if it has any disease in it and what disease it is. And another thing which was that smartphone technology. One of the biggest problems which we thought might come up is that people won't find space in their homes to grow plants, and like they won't know where maximum sunlight is reached. So like we created using latest smartphone technology and light sensors. That can detect optimal spots for plant growth, and they can also suggest pot and plant pairings. So in these ways we created all the prototypes. Skanda also has his AI model here right now. This is the prototype stage, and then after that comes the testing stage. Testing is not quite possible for us because for testing we have to release our product into market, but we can't quite release our product into market right now. So I feel like that was a bit limited to us, but then testing by prototype and testing, it helps us to go back to define stage. Go back to define stage and think about what our problem statement is, redefine the problem bit, and create more solutions. Like it's not one-sided process. Like we'll start from here and we'll end at here. We'll keep jumping around stages. Like after ideation, we might go back to empathize and define. Because if we find that problem statement is not too concise, then we can redefine it. Then in prototype, if we feel like our solutions are not being implemented properly, we can go back to ideate stage. And in such a way, it's a very streamlined process, if I was to say. So in these ways, we have inculcated design thinking into our model.
Yeah, you mentioned that you help identify which disease your plant may have. So what does your company do to cure that disease? Because I'm sure the folks at home would want to revive their dead plant rather than know why it's dying.
So I'd like to go with that. And the main thing, what it was not mentioned, is that when we identify that disease, like there are some diseases which cannot be cured at all, and that we cannot help with. But in the other diseases, what we can do is we can provide fertilizer. So the main reason why we use an AI model is to, like, we can't send out all the different fertilizers which are there available for us. So like based on a specific problem, we can ship out fertilizer to us, fertilizer to them. So that's the main reason. So it's not fertilizer, pesticide, yeah.
My teammate will be taking this question.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest, our process was not a very easy process. So our model is a drone, and there's a lot of components in a drone that makes it function. A lot of these components were beyond our school supplies and our regular budget, and so we've made a simpler model. Our main issue, I think, was not initially having the propellers. We later ordered the propellers. So we built a frame without understanding exactly how huge the propellers were. And that frame could not at all fit the propellers. So the propellers arrived the day before the presentation. So I had to take it home and we had to completely redesign the model. And once we did redesign it, we found out that cardboard was not the correct material to use because it was too heavy and could not properly support it. So we had to scrap that and then use another material which we thought of thermocol. And then we realized that thermocol might not be strong enough. So we tried adding in cardboard, but then that made it too heavy. So we tried taking away some thermocol and adding it in cardboard, but it just wasn't, clicking. Finally, we decided on making a larger thermocol thing and cutting away any excess thermocol. But I feel like the hardest stage of the design thinking is testing and prototype. Because a lot of times, even when you have such a good idea that motivates you and you're like, oh my god, let's go, I can do this. And then all of that amounts to 2 big propellers and a failure of a model. And that can really bring you down. But I mean, it's important that you get back up from it. Thank you.
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that aspect. You said the resources were limited. So through your process, I'm sure you'd have thought about, okay, if you didn't have this practical limitation of resources, I would have done this, or this is how I would have gone. So in a hypothetical situation, if you did not have the limitations of the resources, what would you have ideally done? Or did you get to explore that?
So our original idea was to make a drone which would be made of a titanium and aluminium alloy. Or if that became too expensive for consumers to buy, we would make it out of duralumin, which is the alloy used in aeroplane engines. So this would make, due to the aluminium, it would make it lightweight and hence easier to fly and control. And because of the titanium, it would have a really high heat melting point, which makes it ideal for flying in a really hot environment, such as in a forest fire.
So what we got announced of, like, once we got around to, our project was kind of in a mess, frankly. So then we met up at a person's house, and then we brainstormed there for a while. What can we do? So we thought of using tools such as Google Forms, Excel, which are very easy to use and easy to understand. So when we thought of Google Form, we realized that it was not at all feasible. So then we brainstormed for more time. So we as a group came up with an Excel sheet which was automated. So the teacher would just enter the student's name and the slots would come on its own. So that took a lot of time. But after that, we didn't know a proper process which we could streamline. So then for that, we all came up together and then we did many simulations so that we could find out what the correct process was. Though we couldn't test with the number of like a large number of people, we tried it with the number of people we had.
Okay, so our process was a little bit messy. So after we got our problem, we were really happy. We got our solution too. We thought everything would be pretty smooth because we had a very confident idea. We were very confident in our idea. But I think the most difficult and most important part is actually taking action on the idea that you have in mind. And we're very limited by the hardware that we can find online and in school. and also our knowledge in coding is not where it's supposed to be. Because there's a lot of sound engineering in our project. So our project actually takes the heartbeat of the mother and it's supposed to replay it for the child, because studies show that listening to the heartbeat of the mother seems to calm the child down. So we've done the best that we could with the resources that we had and the knowledge that we had. And I think, that's the most important part, being able to put it on paper, being able to take action on what you're doing.
For us, coming up with an idea was also difficult because we've had so many problems that we were passionate about and we thought about, and each of us had our different fields that we were good in. So, but we finally settled on getting a solution for blind people. But then we explored so many circumstances that they could face that our solution became more complex and sort of difficult to make it in real life. So our original idea was to make an online 3D model, but we knew that would not get us to round 3. So we finally concluded that we would make the goggles and the cane, and instead of using sensor waves, we had to use ultrasonic waves because that was the only available material in the ATL lab. And with the help of online websites and our limited knowledge of coding, we finally were able to make a working cane and goggles.
So you have been working on this project for around a month or more, so right? So during this processes you were doing design thinking, you would have looked around and realized, okay, this is where design thinking is applied. I didn't realize it till later. So any one thing which stands out or which is coming to your mind now about things which you have seen around, have design thinking and how it impacted your further journey into developing your model. Is the question clear? Ma'am, can you repeat it again? Yeah. So during your process of developing your model, doing design thinking yourself, you would have spotted something around you which involved design thinking, but you didn't realize it till then. So what is that one thing which is still there in your mind and how it impacted your journey forward?
I would like to take this question.
Before I move forward with the answer, I want to ask the audience one question. Can I do that? How do you guys think you entered this room? Who do you think designed the door? How do you think they designed the door? That's how they came up with it. We all feel like it's an easy mechanism just opening a door. But even behind the mechanism, there was a lot of design thinking and design involved in it. This is how designers have come up with this. And there's a lot of other applications of design thinking as well. So I feel like design in general is something whenever we hear of design, we feel like it's just artwork, like beautiful artwork on the wall, or beautiful artwork and everything like that. But that's just like 1% of design. It's just everything around us. It's the water bottles, it's the laptops, it's the doors, it's the most basic. At the molecule level, we can say it's everything around us. Like design thinking, in some ways, we are using it everywhere, and it's a very useful, tactic for a lot of businesses as well. Like it's not just for designers; it's for every business. It's like you can, you can use this process. It's very time efficient. It's very capital efficient as well. Like you don't use too much capital in it. So like in that way, I feel like design thinking is impacting us all around. Like all around us, we feel like there's some involvement of design in every aspect of our life. The door example is one of that.
My teammate Neil would like to ask the question.
So this incident happened after the second round rather than before. But my friend had asked Plato, which is the company that makes our shoes, to redesign the shoe because it was tearing apart. And so they came over and asked my class and another class, what we want in our shoes and how they want us to design it. And I didn't realize it at the time, but when I went home, I just thought, oh wait, hold up. That's what we're doing. That's design thinking. So that's one example in my life that I've seen design thinking.
For us, for me personally, I feel like, just like he said, every little thing around us does have a little bit of design thinking or design in it. And the most basic example would be a pen. So I'm assuming before they would have used this fountain pen and a feather or something to write with. And now we have ball pen, gel pen, or like various types of pen, different types of inks, right? So although it's the same product, the person, whoever's making this, the designer, they've really thought it through. They've gone through what the user wants, what the current trend is, or what the most beneficial thing would be looking at the current stage and the use of the pen. So, and depending on the paper you're writing on, so there's so many factors that one has to take into consideration when you look at creating or improving on a design. So now relating it to our project, drones, as we all know, already exist, and yes, they are used for firefighting during a forest fire. But our aim, you could say, was to improve the drone. So although it's not a completely new design, we still based it off of a regular drone. We wanted to make sure that the components of a drone that are really helpful in a forest fire are kept, as well as we could add our own ideas and our own touches to it, you could say. And when we started our research, we got to know about 45 or 47% of the drones that are sent into these forest fires, they actually don't return. So that really gave us the inspiration to make sure we have a durable, sustainable drone, because it's not at all cheap to create a drone. It's really expensive. Even propellers alone, like even the one we have in our model, that was the basic model, that itself was pretty expensive for the quality that we have. So in a high-tech drone with the aluminium, titanium alloy, the duralumin alloy, it would be really expensive. So we wanted to make it worth the price and make something that's durable. So that's how we use design around us to make our model.
So for me, design thinking is more of a mindset than like something concrete. It's something that we can all use every day. It's identifying a problem and finding a viable and easy solution, or the most ideal solution to an everyday problem. So I'll take an example. I find it very difficult to get up early in the morning. And one easy way I thought was, I'll either sleep early or I can put my phone, instead of next to me, I will put my phone on my table. So in the morning when my alarm rings, I will be forced to get out of my bed and I will have to go and switch off my alarm. So that's one solution that I thought of, which would make me get up early in the morning. If I had to take one example that I use, so I've been writing a lot of OMR tests, and if you make a mistake in those tests, there's not much you can do. But somebody found out that certain kind of ink gets removed when you rub it a lot. When a lot of friction is applied, the ink comes off. I'm talking about the erasable ink pens. So I've been using those in my tests, and I've seen so many people make mistakes, and oh, if I just marked this option, I would have gotten these many more. But by using that pen, I can just, somebody thought of it and it fixes my problem very easily. So that's one application of design thinking in math.
I think we as a team realized while we were making the project, the true essence of design thinking, that is constant improvement. Like every solution that we created, a new circumstance would arise, and we have to fit our product to adjust to that. And we realized that this has been happening for ages, like since the early humans made their spears, but that wouldn't work. Like the animals started to learn the habits and defend themselves also. So we have to constantly improve and fit And my friend calls this the trial and error method, and we also or constant adaptation.
Let me get into specific questions for each of the teams. Team 8th grade. When you worked on your PTM, to streamline the PTM, what considerations did you take into consideration to solve, and how did you integrate them in your design?
Can you repeat the question?
What were the things that you took into consideration and how did you go about solving them? You identified problems, right? You came up, how would you streamline a PTM? Did you also look at case studies on how other schools do it? What were the case studies you did? What were the problems you analyzed and how did you go about solving them? You could explain it through your models, your prototypes, all of this, as long as you answer. Yeah.
My team in Upasana will like to.
Sure.
Right, so we took so first, also my mom is a teacher, I'd like to say that. So she also has gone through the whole PTM process in another school, and she also said that basically in a lot of cases there were slots made. So we took that into consideration, and we also thought of how and the certain pinpoints, we talk to our parents and we ask them where exactly they're facing problems, and they said that they're having to in some way or the other they're not able to dedicate enough time to put into the PTM, or the teachers are not able to dedicate enough time to put into the PTM, and because of the time constraint, and then there are a lot of students that the teachers have to attend to, then there's lunch breaks, which a lot of teachers are not able to eat properly, or they're having to rush their lunch. And as you all know, nutrition is a very important thing in our lives. And we also learned about parents having to compromise a lot, or they're having to wait in long lines, and sometimes that turn doesn't even come. So we took a lot of things into consideration, and for even creating a solution to the problem, there was a lot of brainstorming in that as well. We came up with the Google Forms thing, and as he said, it's not a feasible solution, because the type of way, the way Google Forms stores information is static, so it's completely redundant to use Google Forms. So from there also we tried to, from there we modified that Google Forms thing, and how we're gonna streamline that process of creating a Google Forms and redirecting it to certain other so in a lot of cases we also observed that some parents don't even come for the PTMs, they just want to see their child's papers, and then they have to go to their their child's class teacher to collect the papers. We noticed that, and we realized that, you know what, how about we just keep the papers in one place, and the teachers can, the parents can also mention whether they're actually meeting up with the teachers and talking to them about their child's needs. So we also tried to sort of remove the parents who weren't gonna come in order to save some time. So we thought of that as well. And finally, when we thought of the Google Forms thing, we modified it into a plan where there was going to be a short-term solution which could be more accessible to the teachers and easier to implement, but then there's a long-term. So the short-term solution was basically an Excel sheet. Vagish came up with that. He basically said that there's this process where you can input a student's name, and you'll get a student's name, and you'll get all the slots that are available for the student. And then finally with that, we also used that and we modified it into a long-term solution which could be implemented by creating an app. Obviously there's some investment required for that, but with this app we also realized that we could expand on this and create and use the app for other different things as such. So yeah, that's how we thought of it.
Yeah, so like we came up with two solutions actually. So there's the long-term solution and short-term solution. We divided it into two because like long-term solution is going to require investment, time. But then once we come up with a solution, we can expand on this. But then short-term solution is like in case there's not enough time to create an app or something, we can just use Excel sheets or whatever we have at hand. So yeah.
Just to add on, teams, you can actually display your models to explain better since you are getting your personalized questions. So please feel free to use your models to explain better.
Actually, we have a model. We have a model here. So this is what the app will look like.
Bring it in the front.
So basically, this is the long-term solution. This is what the app is going to look like. We took inspiration from this app called Practo. So Practo is basically, for medicals. So like we basically use that, and then there's this login thing. This is my teammates. He created the way the app is going to look by using a template. So this is the long-term solution. And then the short-term solution is basically the Excel sheet. So like there's some sections over here. If Vagish could explain the Excel sheet.
So then basically, like I haven't drawn the Excel sheet here, but during our presentation we showed it to the teacher on the projector. So it was that, so then suppose you would take the first column, like first cell, and then you would, suppose a student walks in as per his or her batch, then the teacher would, like there'll be a common teacher who would type his or her name, and then all the slots for that particular students across all the subjects would show up on the Excel sheet. So that can be accessed.
Is there a timeline? Is there a timeline? Is there a timeline where you can access it? For your PTM slot? To book a slot?
I don't understand.
Do you have a timeline on when the parents can book a slot, or how does it work?
Yeah, so then for that we actually called the parents as per their GC number. So then when they came as per their GC number, in a long-term app we would provide the flexibility, but for the immediate use, we thought that the parents would walk in and then as per their batch, the GC number batch, and then the teacher can type the student's name, and that will be shown on the monitor. So the parents can click a photo and can access it.
Do they have to come to school to do that?
Yeah, that was one of the limitations.
Okay. Okay, given the unpredicted nature of natural disasters, how would your device work? Like you do not know, I mean you're talking about forest fire at the moment, but then they're very unpredictable. So how would you know, or how would your device work under such an instance or circumstance? You do not know when forest fire happens, right? It's very unpredictable. So how would you be ready, or your device work under such a circumstance?
So,
you could explain your model and then answer the solution as well.
Okay.
So before we start off, in general, drones are used not just to control the forest fires; they're also used to monitor the forest fires. So if an area or a forest in particular is dry, or there's a lot of dry vegetation and a lot of heat and less humidity, you know it's a more forest fire or disaster prone zone. So I think through our previous records, and we already have an idea of the dry forest, we know that there's a less likely chance to happen, that a forest fire will happen in a really wet place or a place with a lot of humidity. So we can also use this drone, as we'll explain. It has a lot of features that will also help it sense and detect where the heat will originate from, so we can prevent it before it spreads kilometers and kilometers.
So this is a very basic drone because we didn't have that many resources like we mentioned. But there's a lot more extra components that we thought could be like improvised in our drone. So right now the question you asked, if we were going large scale, I would say we should we're putting like stations in, probably we'll take Karnataka as an example. We'll put stations in districts of Karnataka, and then if we get an alert from the people, we will implement our drones in those areas because drones fly a lot and they can fly in various speeds also. So, Bhavin, can you explain the components?
You don't need to explain the components, tell how it works.
So we're gonna also tell you the various components we have.
Right, so this is a very basic drone, so it doesn't have all of the components. But
Consider the full-fledged drone.
So in our full-fledged drone, we first off to monitor, right? We have all the conditions that say, okay, this is a red flag. This might be a forest fire zone, like dry timber, low humidity, harsh winds as well. So we would be monitoring these, and there would be stations throughout the region, like Saanvi said. There would be stations throughout the region so that we can easily deploy if any nearby locations get a forest fire. Now, when we're talking about in a forest fire itself, our drone has, first off, it has a really high remote control distance. And just in case that it does accidentally get out of our reach, we will have helicopters and manual support as well from above. If by any chance the connection is disturbed, we have a sensor that basically prevents it. It doesn't make it fly, but it stops it from hitting other objects. So it just kind of rests the drone at a certain location that it can later be picked up. And it also has a GPS signal telling us where exactly it stops.
How is your drone solving the problem?
As in how it solves fire.
Yes. It only predicts?
No. So one is the predicting feature.
But at the moment, how is it predicted? In the absence of a drone, how are they predicting it?
I mean, it's not, it's forecast,
Yeah.
and it's all the conditions.
They did it even before, right? So I'm asking you, they knew when a forest fire could occur, even in the absence of a drone or even before the drone was made. So, and they do it. How is your drone solving the problem further?
So,
what is the implication of it?
Our drone's main focus is not to see a forest fire, because forest fires will happen. Our focus was to get it to solve the forest fire. So the fact that it can also predict is just another added bonus. The actual solving part happens with a high payload capacity, which is the amount of a certain material that you can hold. In this case, water, fire repellents, foam, everything. Our drone would have a really high payload capacity. And the one more defining feature is fire break. So normally a fire break is basically a strip of barren land, like completely dead land with no trees, no vegetation, no animals, nothing, that stops a fire from going beyond a certain point. But as we know, global warming is already a really big issue, and this deforestation of fire breaks is not at all helping. So instead, our thought was, instead of destroying the trees, we keep them there and we spray a kind of fire repellent on it. So this would prevent the fire from going towards the trees and essentially serving the same purpose as a fire break, but it would really cut down on the deforestation aspect.
Wouldn't you say this idea already does exist to some extent? Because in my own case, I've actually went through this. A compound wall near my apartment had a forest, and that forest was set on fire. And we did actually use a photography drone to see how far the fire had gone when we called the fire brigade and all of that. So it did help in scouting. But beyond that, you said you would like have fire repellent on a high payload capacity. But for a higher payload capacity than they already do use with fire trucks and so on, you would need a really, really large drone, which is not very economically feasible.
So first, as we said earlier, we're not building a new model per se. We're actually using an existing model and we're improving on that. We're adapting that. And for the high payload capacity, there's this mechanism. It's used in a lot of shower heads nowadays. It's quite recent. But basically what it does is it uses the same amount of water, but instead of spraying water, it compresses that water into the tiniest it can be. So, and then it sprays that. So in one water droplet, you're using almost triple or quadruple the use.
But the concern is whether or not the drone can lift that much weight.
Right. So so a drone can already lift that much weight because we have that kind of technology that already exists. We're just thinking of implementing the water compressing mechanism so that with that same amount of water, it's able to cover a lot more area.
Switch on.
Considering the importance of accessibility, which measures were taken to ensure that the equipment is affordable and widely available to visually impaired people? You could explain your model and then speak about it as well.
Sure. First, I'd just like to address your concern. While we were designing the product, cost was a major aspect that did come up. But the product that we have designed, right, we're looking at it at a futuristic aspect where AI is like everywhere. And to accumulate every aspect of it, we have a small microcomputer attached to the earpiece. Because all of these objects in the future would be very, very easily accessible, it wouldn't, be that, really like humongously expensive. And it would be in the affordable capacity. Of course, in the training stage, like when you build it, it's going to be like 3 times, 4 times more expensive. But when you mass produce it, when the demand starts increasing, of course, prices are going to fall. And we would be able to supply it at an affordable range.
You did give that a thought.
Yes, we did good. So further now, while we were going through this, we wanted to keep the original design of the blind stick intact, because even though we are trying to redesign it, the original blind stick did take time for people to get used to it, right? So we didn't really want to change the structure, so people wouldn't really feel that much alienated to it. So one thing that we did notice is that when you use the blind stick, it doesn't really give you a higher field view. And when you, let's just say I touch this object, I can't really judge the size of the object. I can't really judge the distance I'm from it. And to facilitate to that, right, we have used ultrasonic. We've used ultrasonic sensors on it as well as radars. Further, as I've already mentioned, the higher field view, we've used goggles because it just gives you a 360 view of everything that's happening around you.
Basically, I will do something. We'll show it to you with the glasses instead.
Okay.
We'll show it with the glasses instead. The models. So let's just see that something comes in front. and further there would be a camera connected for overall view.
One more concern that we did come across is that other people's safety. One question that came up while we were talking about the camera is that what if someone who is not really blind goes to places and uses the camera to spy on people or whatever, like just take inappropriate photos and use it for their own self.
Misuse it.
Misuse it, exactly. So the image actually, it's never really recorded except when we have already mentioned the app, which basically utilizes schedules. So basically what it does, it scans an entire room area and it gives you ready-made instructions through NLP. So one thing is that it doesn't get stored, and even if it does get stored, it's not accessible to the user at all. So while one thing that we have learned through this entire design thinking process is that the idea that you initially think is never going to be the same thing that it was. There's always going to be hindrances in between. We always talked about a linear path that's never going to happen. We have looked at the sine graph, always goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And even though the design that we have created today, it's not going to be constant. In the future, we're pretty sure it's going to change. There are going to be many, many different things to it. And yeah, one example that I could, give it to it is the smartphones. Smartphones that we used to, a few years ago, they were so expensive, like only the hyper-sticker rich people had it, and they were really bulky. You couldn't carry them everywhere. Today, everybody has like 3 smartphones in their homes. This just shows that design thinking impacts us so much. There's so many things that come in the way, that change our aspects, and nothing is constant. And I think that's one valuable thing that we all as a team have learned from this project. Thank you.
Yeah, how do you integrate the heartbeat into your device, or how do you go about doing it to soothe the child? And in how many instances have you tested it and seen how it works when compared to other conventionally used methods to soothe the child?
Ma'am, so I think Aditya wants to answer this question. I think we can show our model first and then we can actually explain.
Definitely.
So obviously, testing on babies is not the most ethical solution to this. So what we did during our third round was that we actually played the heartbeat sounds for our teachers. So we can do the same for you guys also, if you want to just see how it works. Right now we have some hardware issues. So I'm wearing our ECG pads, but for some unknown reason to us at least, it's not transferring the signal properly to the laptop.
We're a little limited by the hardware, and
so we can show you with a mic just how the graph comes up and how we will convert that into sound.
Connected to a plug, so I think.
I mean, how do you play the heartbeat? The whole idea is how you play the heartbeat to the child to soothe the child.
So
right?
in terms of applications, our first one was, so just as like off the top of your head, you think, how do you play sound? You think of headphones. But you obviously don't want to put headphones on a baby that's still developing their ears. So with some thinking, we thought about just putting speakers in cradles. And also, you know how heartbeats actually do have a vibration. You have the lub-dub sound. So we thought we could integrate that as vibrations into the cradles, so you feel like you're right next to your mother at all times. So those were our final 2 applications. And just for on the go, we were like, okay, the stroller is just a moving cradle, so we can just imply that into a stroller, and then you can use that on the go as well.
Basically, any device a child uses, you could implement it on it.
Another thing we thought about was actually stuffed toys. So children, they play with stuffed toys, so we could put like a speaker into the toys. But then it might be a little bit scary just entering the stuffed toys.
Okay, what age group are you targeting?
Very small.
Infants.
Okay, so I'll just explain the model briefly. So there's an application that once you run it through, you can see it. So actually it gets this signal. So there's a lot of disturbance right now, and it's obviously not as accurate as we want it to be. But as you can see, it brings a graph out for heartbeat and it tracks it in real time. And on top, you can actually see the PCM signal that it's getting. So now if I save it, this software allows me to save a CSV file. So if I save the CSV file, it actually stores all of this data in the form of an Excel sheet. So you have which beat it is, what time the beat occurred at, and the BPM at that moment. So after this, we run this Excel sheet through a code which takes the average of the beats per minute and it creates an audio with that beat per minute, those many beats per minute. So I'll just run the code. So this is the code. Now, if I run it, it gives me an output of this audio over here. So now, if I play the audio, so it actually gives an output of the heartbeat. I don't know if it's loud enough. The port is... No. Is it USB or the aux is also there. I'm not sure if it's going to be loud enough, but hopefully you can hear it. So it's really soft, but you can actually hear the heartbeat. It gives an output of the audio which plays the heartbeat. So we're obviously running into quite a few issues because we're not really sound engineers yet, but hopefully in the future we can gain more knowledge of this and fix it. Yeah, that's basically the idea, and this is the best way we thought we could implement it with whatever we had, like the resources that we have. So
there is one important aspect. The heartbeat varies depending on the mood of the mother.
So that's
and
why
the child perceives that and reacts. So how do you incorporate that into?
So obviously, it would react in an aggressive way if it was like an excited heartbeat. So obviously, we want to be actually recording like a moderate heartbeat to play for children to sleep, because if they react like specifically to different heartbeat, like the time intervals, then it will just get excited instead of sleeping. So we want to try to measure heartbeat when the mother is calm and the heartbeat is moderate.
I don't think I got the answer for my problem. The heartbeat changes depending on the mother's state of mind. Okay? So the child should be able to perceive that at different times to be soothed.
So I think you misunderstood. Our idea is not that in real time the child will hear the heartbeat. The idea is that we'll recreate the heartbeat of the mother. So then the child can listen to it even when the mother is not around. Because if the mother is around, then she can just hold the child, right? So the whole idea is when the mother is not around, how will the child go to sleep? How will the child feel soothed? So that's...
So you will play one set of heartbeats.
Yeah, it will just be a repeating, set of heartbeats.
How different is your group works when compared to others existing in the market?
I knew this question would come. Okay, basically there are no competitors, if I'm being honest. We have searched far and wide, and there's no one who does it like we do. There's no one with a monthly subscription or with the AI integrated features. Of course, these do exist separately. Like the AI model, we just found out yesterday that a company came up with it just very recently, but it's only for large-scale farmers. And also about the kids, you can find them on Amazon for maybe 100, 200, but you don't get the persistent support that we provide. Right? Every single month, I don't think we explain this, but every single month we are going to be providing support in the form of manure, fertilizer, and pesticides to make sure that our consumers have a very seamless experience.
All of the components, some tools were missing, but
in an urban scenario and different experiences with gardening, how would you suffice? You got customized ones for different people. How does it work?
So yeah, exactly. Like most people, like we want to like see those people who don't have balconies, and for that we have these sort of vertical gardening things, pots, where we can grow vertically, so as to save space. And like for people with balconies, we can give like big pots. Like if it's ground root vegetables, you can have like a high pot so that they have lots of space underneath to grow. And yeah, so based on that, we can cater to different groups. I mean,
This is with regard to space, but what about the experiences they've had with gardening? Some of them absolutely have no idea of gardening.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Oh, that's what you mean. So that's why like that's why we're providing like both video lectures and or like script. Yeah. So like with all this is the manual for like this is so how to grow it and what's the idea behind gardening. As because in the survey, I think only about 50% of the people who answered knew how to garden, and like we want to increase that, right? So like because gardening has various uses, and that's the main reason.
One of the first things Skanda actually said was that our product should appeal to even a baby that's 2 years old or like an old elderly person, right? So that's why we're providing different kinds of learning methods. We are also building an AI chatbot which could possibly help you. We have written instruction for whoever would prefer that. We have video lectures for younger children.
all the videos. So like we say that we are whatever you're providing, we mention it here, like you're providing this, you don't have to worry, we are providing this, and then we in the correct manner we say that.
So you cater to the needs of what they're looking for.
Yes. Yeah. So and we also, as we mentioned, we have social features on our website. We're all about building a community, right? And I strongly believe that the community could really help you. Like, there are very specific situations when it comes to gardening. Like, it's very individual, it's very unique, and I think a community can help with solving certain issues that we possibly cannot perceive.
What's the minimum space I need to have in order to subscribe for that?
I mean, it really matters on how you. I mean, if you're growing vertically, you basically need no space. I mean, because unless you
minimum vertical, horizontal space. How much is it minimum so that I can go ahead and subscribe to you guys?
You might need the space of a box. Like, I mean, not the whole volume itself, but like the area. Like one pot is very small area. You can. I mean, it's based on the type of vegetable you're growing, of course. But around the space of a box is basically what you need.
We have actually made categorization of vegetables as well. So like according to the vegetable, like how hard it is to grow and how easy it is to grow, we have done the pricing according to that. So like I feel like vegetables like tomatoes and all, they are easy to grow vegetables, right? Like they're very easy to grow. So we have kept them at a very lower price, like 250 rupees per month for a kit. One kit 250 rupees per month. It's a monthly subscription. And for moderate level hard level vegetables, we have made it like 300 rupees per month. And there are exotic plants as well. Like a lot of people want to grow exotic plants as well. So for that, we have made it 500 rupees per month. So I wanted to explain that.
Yeah, I just really quickly want to add on. I don't think Arihant explained this properly, but we talked about the smartphone technology, right? Yeah. So basically, we're using light sensors in smartphones, like when you initially subscribe. It basically scans your house and it also suggests plant and pot pairings. So that solves your question, right? Because then you know what you can get. Because when it scans the area, it knows how much area you actually have. And as Skanda said, we have multiple products, we have hanging gardens. And also it depends on what you want to grow. Like condiments, like chilies and all that, they take very, like a small amount of space, right? So I think we can cater to most individuals even in an urban household.
In a scenario I don't know what I want, you will let me know what I can get.
Yeah, exactly.
With what space I have.
Basically what it's doing is it's taking a CNN model which I have created here, and as you can see, like it's a convolution neural network model which takes an image and like it trains based on the image. And I don't want to go in too deep into it, but yeah, that's basically what it does, and it saves the model. And what I do with that model is that I load the model, and then based on like the image which we input, I think in this case it is this image here. So this is like bacteria. It's called bacterial spot, so based on the infection. And for that, we designed this model, and like we basically input this image here, and then we predict based on that. So when we run it, we should get an output like this. So bacterial spot and what all to do to prevent it. If there is something like which you can do at home itself, home remedy, then it's then we can just tell them like that. Otherwise, we'll ship the pesticides. Keep saying fertilizers. Yeah.
One more thing I'd like to add
is that while choosing this topic, we thought about, we didn't want to go too technical. Like I see a lot of people, I want to point out a lot of teams which are facing technical problems, like they don't have resources. So while we are choosing this problem, we thought we will go less technical, but we will still impact the society in a very positive way, so that our efficiency is not affected. That was one big thing.
Yeah, good. I think we have done a lot of design thinking. I want to have one round of local thinking. Okay? Now each one I want you to think about one problem in the school that you would like to solve. I don't want the solution. You understand? You locate one problem in the school that you would like to solve. Alright? Just the problem. The way you are looking at each other, looks like there is no problem. That can't be. Yeah, good.
So I think the assembly area can be made a bit better, because now there are so many students joining that there might be a little restriction of space, and also that because we have a dome on the top, there is a lot of echo. So then when there are these kind of panel discussions which is previously happened in the assemblies are now happening in the AV room, because there it's a bit tougher to understand.
Okay, got it. Next.
I feel like these are small problems, but I feel like it would be easy if it's solved. One would be the crowded assembly dispersal system. It's very chaotic. There's people bumping into each other. You know, the aisles are blocked. And the second one, I think, which everyone here would agree on, would be the stairs. Heavy bags climbing up till the top floor. It's very difficult.
It's a good identification. At the same time, I'd be happy if you sweat carrying that bag up.
I think we were going to solve this issue about the food wastage, and every day, like it's always written that we waste like about 30 kgs of food or something, and I always feel guilty, but there's nothing that we do about it, so maybe we do that.
Okay.
So one problem I think that a few of us might face is that sometimes the plates are a little dirty. So what happens is that a lot of people, they'll rinse their plate and then they'll leave it. They wouldn't wash it, but it appears to be clean. So I feel like there should be some way to segregate the people who want to just rinse their plate and some people who want to actually wash their plate.
Yes, sir. I want to give the problem. Here's a solution also. Okay. Skanda wants to take this question.
I mean, this will be very, very controversial, but then I'll see it anyways. The fact of mandatory attendance is...
Okay, since you raised the problem, solution also right now. As of today, the school does have a mandatory requirement to maintain attendance. It is not our making. You have to ensure that you attend so many days of the school. If you want to take up the problem with, it is CBSE, not the school. Okay, I'm happy to see the problems because almost all of them are known. Keep thinking of the solutions. Okay? Because any problem can be solved if you continuously work on it during your sleep. So just wait for some solutions. Any problem, not only these. Yes, anybody else would like to ask something? We also have a problem.
I do, it's that my teachers can't understand my handwriting, so I don't ask. But I have a question for them. So this is a very simple question. I just want you to tell me how this question relates to design thinking. When you were with your groups, you guys had to decide who's going to come and sit here and who's going to present the project. So how did you decide that?
How did you decide?
And how you think this question relates to design thinking?
Your question.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about the second part, but about the first part, Skanda didn't want to talk. He's not exactly the greatest at phrasing things. Arihant, he's pretty good at phrasing things as you saw throughout the session, but I don't know why I didn't want to go, and I was the only one left. So I came, and I'm sick also, so Arihant wants to build upon the
there was a bit of change of plans. I thought that Rishi would go on the panel and discuss, but I thought that there will be a proper introduction, like we have to introduce a model and we have to entirely explain everything. So I thought I would cover that part, but that didn't happen quite as planned. So yeah, that was a bit of misplanning. That's it.
So for choosing who would come up here, we all have to assess our strengths and weaknesses, right? And I feel like speaking maybe a bit more my strength than both of theirs, right? So we all decided together that you should go, and I said okay, fine. I'm eager to go. I will go. And how this relates to design thinking is that you have to assess your options. You have to assess the reasons to do one thing and the reasons not to do one thing. And after that, you have to take an informed decision based on whatever you have thought of. Good.
For us, Advaitaa, when we became a team, Advaitaa decided that she'll not go even if we went to round 3. And we tried to convince Alankrata a lot, but she just wouldn't go, even though she's the best speaker out of the 3 of us.
Okay. You want to add?
The thing that we felt is that Advaitaa, she doesn't speak at all, so that's a different story.
Really?
Yeah. And I felt that, as a team, it's great if, at least each one of us experience such things, because it really is a great opportunity, to build up on your skills. And I think that's one thing that we had to force Geet to, go through. We just had to. And to further, answer the question on how it relates to design thinking, he's already pointed out that, you assess your strengths and whatever. But when you do so, you also understand what you can learn from it, what can you add to it, and as I've already said that it's not a straight process. While designing something, you learn many things outside of that. So as sending when Geet wanted to go, as I've already mentioned, it's a great opportunity. It adds to your skill set, and it just flourishes your entire thing better. And I think that's entirely trial and error method. You just do it.
Good.
So for the who would be going on the panel, I think it runs in the family because Saanvi did not want to go at all either. So it was between me and Tamanna, and we decided to, because both of us have been a part of different things. She was part of design thinking last year as well, and I was part of URA this year. But I think we ultimately decided that to give Tamanna some panel experience, and then because we were expecting a lot of design thinking related questions, and I'm not the most creative person out there, so yeah, it just generally just came down to her, but it was pretty close. And then for the how this would be related to design thinking, I feel like if you bring in the 5 steps of design thinking, that's empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. If you think empathizing in this situation would be talking about us three as a group, our strengths, our weaknesses, what we're good at, what we're bad at, then defining would be probably discussing these strengths and just narrowing it down to that point, which would be the final idea. And then I feel like prototyping and testing would be at the same time because, well, in this you only have one shot. So, yeah.
So the first thing when we were deciding, I wanted to avoid a fight. I wanted us, if we were to win, I wanted us to win as a team rather than have a quarrel. So I decided to step aside because I participated in MNL this year, and it was between those two. And Upasana came out and said she had a lot on her plate, and Vagish was just excited. When he got the mail, he was like, "Guys, we got the mail. Can I go on the panel, please?" So I think it was pretty united.
Okay, one last final question. It's going to be very short and crisp from the panelists, please, because we're already running out of time. Just specific questions to each team. To grade 8, you mentioned you looked at Tracto as an example, so I just wanted to understand whether even you looked at scheduling apps like Calendly to figure out whether you can use something from that into your solution.
So then actually we wanted to, so then Neil showed me, I had no idea what Practo even was, but then Neil showed me the Practo app. So we thought, since we found the Practo app to be really user friendly and easy to understand, so we decided that we would we settled on Practo and we didn't think of it further because we thought it was really user friendly and easy to use.
Thank you. Grade 9, you identified the solution of addressing forest fires with a drone, and you spoke about how you need to have different centers and response units ready to deploy your drones, and there will be a certain amount of resource allocation to all of that. So my question is primarily, why did you decide to go in the direction of addressing forest fires via the drone direction rather than anything else with respect to maybe improving the nozzle of the hoses or improving any fire retardant chemicals that you're going to be using in the drone, anything like that, where the resource utilization might be much more effective? So any reason why you chose the path of the drone?
We knew that whatever we chose would already most likely exist, and we just wanted to improve on a drone because we thought we could put a lot into a drone. Like you said, if it's the nozzle of a hose, that's just one aspect you're looking at, which is spraying water more efficiently. But we wanted to make sure we could include various aspects. Like in the drone, you have each of the stations, you have infrared sensors to monitor, you have a payload capacity, you have a fire repellent, you have a sensor helping it to detect and dodge obstacles. So you have various aspects that it's like an all-in-one situation. So we wanted to include as much as possible into the one system we make. So drone.
Thank you. For grade 10, I'm coming from the point of less is more kind of ideology. You spoke about a stick, a goggle, and a earpiece. So my question is primarily, if you have a goggle already that you're going to be wearing, what is the necessity to have a third earpiece as well? Why couldn't that be integrated into the earpiece? Do you think of that, or do you have any particular reasoning for that?
So that is true. It's sort of connected only, but we separated them so that we could explain it better to you guys.
Okay, so
it will be inside the earpiece, and in the earpiece specifically, it will be sort of installed inside the ear. So there'll be a microchip computer that will receive signals from the cane separately and sent it to the earpiece. And for the goggles, we wanted to separate it because that would mainly be corresponding to our phone app. So that's why we wanted to separate it.
While designing the entire thing, one major thing that we wanted to keep intact is the original design. Because as we have already mentioned that it changes over time, we wanted it to be as user friendly as how they're really comfortable with the stick already, and removing an assistance already maybe it can add hindrance to the process. Right? And further, which I think I accidentally forgot, all of this is connected to an app. This app is a very important part of our entire kit. This app has major functions. One is schedules, which I had already mentioned earlier, is that it scans an area, and based on that, it gives ready-made instructions. Like you have timetables, right? And it gives ready-made instructions through NLP, through voice commands, to the blind person. Because one thing that we often forget to realize is that even though one sense is down, the other four senses are extremely strong and sensitive. So instead of focusing on the other, like the weak one, we can bring the other four up, right? So that's why we haven't left the stick, which is touch, and ear commands, voice, and I think that what just integrates everything, just to keep it as a more seamless process and more comfort to their user handle. Thank you.
You can integrate it into an existing device that you're already having, like say for example classes that you're already wearing. In case you're wearing, you can integrate it into it.
We can, but that's further iterations that work through. This is like an initial design, and this is not a perfect design. It's going to change. Everything is going to change. But we have put a step forward, and that's an amazing idea. We can obviously add it to actually keep it less hassle.
So how many devices do they need to have?
Right now, currently it's like 3, and it's the stick, the goggles, and the earpiece. Currently. Thank you.
Just adding to one part, but from your earlier answer where you gave about answering ma'am's question about affordability, you spoke about scaling up and advancements in technology. One thing you and everyone should to keep in mind is if you want to keep things really accessible in terms of affordability, you need to use not specifically designed components, but components that are already existing in the market to bring down the cost. So that is something that, because I'm seeing that you're using existing available components in your design, that will also be one factor that you miss to just iterate.
So this is actually more of a futuristic project, and we've already mentioned that AI is going to be in pounds over there in the future. So AI is going to be really accessible. Further, we have talked about microchip computers, which are already in use today. Smartwatches, phones, everything is over there. Processing units, and most of the materials they're in-house. Right? We're not really specifically creating materials to address to a product. So it just makes it just reduces the cost drastically. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank you so much.
And to grade 11, you spoke about how you want to address the whole aspect of children being addicted to screens and being used as a babysitter, and that problem that the community is facing. I'm just wondering about the solution of putting a child to sleep with the heartbeat of a mother would maybe last for maybe a year or two in an infant's life, but the whole issue of the whole screen being used as a babysitter comes a bit after that. So how would this address that larger goal that you initially mentioned?
So we haven't had much testing with an actual child. So I feel like if we start implementing this in a child's life, it may go on much further than 1 or 2 years, because then that's the only thing they know, right? So it may go on till even like 4 years, 5 years. They may still be accustomed to listening to that heartbeat because they've been exposed to that even more now, right? So obviously after a certain point you have to take your own action. You have to do it yourself. You have to make the child fall asleep yourself, make it feel calm yourself. So this is more for the rest of the parent, and it's a distraction for the baby, but it's not harmful. That's basically what it means.
So then your problem, defining a problem should be only with respect to helping a child fall asleep and not address the whole screen time addiction that comes later on, because that would create issues. I think Gudi wants to answer.
So there are both dependencies, but it's about healthy dependency versus unhealthy dependency. You are dependent on your friends to stay active, to be happy, to communicate, but that's not unhealthy. but being dependent on your screen for your happiness, for your dopamine, of course, that is completely unhealthy. So if we start instilling this model in children that are really young, 1 to 2 years, it starts to become a dependency. So we can assume that we can hope that it really does become they become dependent on it. So even as they grow older and enter the screen era and their addiction era, that like they're still dependent on what they grew up with, and of course you're dependent on your parents. There's obviously, it's not unhealthy, so we have to instill healthy dependency versus unhealthy dependency. So that's why we included that. So basically it's not a new solution, but it's an alternate solution, and we're trying to show you that why it's better. So we're creating a healthy dependency.
Thank you. And grade 12. You spoke about how that box would be that when ma'am asked about the in a city it's very difficult to find space to grow, and I think you mentioned that even that the space of the box is enough to grow your vegetables. So do you have any model, or did you do any yield calculation to figure out, okay, for this box, for a family of 2 or of 4, these many vegetables can be grown, or this is the most ideal vegetable to be grown at this point of time? Anything like that? Did you, let's say, debate about or discuss, or?
Okay, yeah, so we actually got that question in the second round also. We haven't exactly researched these because we believe that it's more about the process, like the journey, than the end goal, right? Because you're obviously not going to get a sustainable yield from your food because it's a small urban garden, right? So I don't think the yield matters that much unless you're growing something really small like condiments and chilies or something, right?
Okay. And in your AI powered app, do you look at based on the weather conditions or the exact geographical location to suggest what can be grown and when? Is that part of your plan?
That's actually called hyperlocal forecast, and yeah, we can definitely integrate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amazing questions, amazing discussions. I think now you guys can relax because most of the work is for the judges. However, I could hear a lot of discussion happening even back where every product was being debated by the kids over there, because I think we have many participants over in round 2. Would you guys like to ask them a question? Anyone? No? Yeah, thank you.
How exactly, like it's a question for the 12th graders. So how exactly will the grow box supply people? Like, is it like the box has the tools in it, and will they keep giving you tools every month? And how is it user friendly exactly?
Okay, so that question. So basically, we thought about this a lot. And basically, in the first shipment, you get your tools, you get your pot, you get your fertilizer, you get your soil, everything, right? And the pot, the seed, the pot and the tools are based on a deposit. So on your last shipment, you send it back, right? So you're getting everything in one box, and every month you will get your fertilizer and pesticides based on the disease that your plant is going through, based on the AI scan that Skanda has. And about user friendliness, I believe our product is very convenient. It's one box. You get everything you need, because I personally do home gardening at my house also, and it's very hard to source seeds, soil, and everything, because firstly the main issue is quality. You really can't assure quality from outside, and also it's a lot of work, and humans inherently are very lazy beings, if I'm being honest. I don't want to go out and search for good quality seeds of soil, so I think our product really solves that issue.
What makes our thing different is that we also try to inculcate technology and AI into even something like gardening, which is very physical, to be fair. So like I feel like it's very user friendly because we are providing some technology which has not been talked about yet. It hasn't been there yet. It's not in the market. The AI chat model, the smartphone technology about the detecting the optimal spaces, the light sensors. So I feel like in that case, our product is way more user friendly than anything which is out there in the market right now.
I have a question for the 12th graders as well. So this box, are you going to have a survey for people who are interested in case they want a personalized box? For example, not everyone wants to grow a certain vegetable, for example, and they don't know what they want. But will you have a survey for the basics, like, okay, I want to grow a flower, so you need certain things for a flower, and you want to grow a vegetable, you need different things. So you're going to like ask people before you supply them the box?
And it seems like you want to answer this question.
Yeah, so like you can like, exactly. So how we're selling the boxes, this is a tomato box, this is a chili box, this is the sort of box. And for that you have like different materials, the type of soil, the type of fertilizer, maybe like we can narrow down the types of pesticide used also. And maybe like there might be personalized tools also for a certain plant. So based on that we are selling it as a vegetable or flower, like a certain vegetable box, right? We have not gone into flowers as well.
We have, I mentioned this back there also, we have made full categorization of vegetables and different kits are going to be supplied for different vegetables. It's not that like we are going to supply only one, we don't have only one vegetable, we have multiple vegetables. We have thought that thing out, we have categorized the prices also for the kids. So like suppose this is tomato box, so suppose the customer wants to grow tomatoes. So this is a tomato box. Now if the customer wants to grow chili, so we'll provide different chili box. So like in that way, charges will be added.
I think we have parents here. Would you like to ask any questions?
Hi everyone, I'm Sukesh, I'm Geet's father. I do design thinking for a living. I'm a product manager at Google. I heard a lot of Google tools, so great to hear that. It was fantastic. I don't have any specific questions. I thought the presentations were awesome, the problem statements were great. I just felt sometimes free to answer questions very directly. It was hard to kind of figure out what the answer was. So being a product manager, I can't stop finding problems and giving solutions. It was fantastic and great to be here. And thank you so much for calling the parents. Thank you.
So my question is for the 10th graders. So visually challenged people, they're going to be using this cane, these goggles and this earpiece. So wherever they go, they will be wearing these gadgets. So exposure to these AI tools for a prolonged periods, won't it be a hazard for these people? Won't it, like constantly they'll be telling instructions to your ear, go here, go there. Won't it cause a problem?
So the app you can actually choose what. See, through the app you can actually turn. Through the app you can actually control all the permissions that you get, so that there's no privacy issues. If you want to turn off the thing, we can actually do that. And when it's at home, like the devices is turned off, it will have no API or nothing, and it will be connected to nothing. So it's completely based on the user, and you can customize the settings absolutely according to your necessity.
I would like to ask Kavya, but wearing these electrical components in your ear,
Gauri, we all use a device as a phone, right? And the radiations that they emit, I think most of the human population is already, exposed to them. And while we were working on the actual piece to choose for the stick, right? They mostly even talked about electromagnetic waves, but one thing that really affects the cell's tissues. So while we chose ultrasound, the reason we took it is because it doesn't really affect humans to such an extent. And as she has already mentioned, is that when you're at home, when you don't really go out in the night most of the time, right? So it's just when you walk around most of like maybe you can say like 5 hours per se for an example and an average is when you're exposed to these devices. But that's really like any other device that we are currently using, right? Further, when I mentioned ultrasonic waves, one problem that did come up was that how it would affect animals that use ultrasonic waves, right? So
we actually chose a range of ultrasonic waves from like 70k hertz to 100,000 hertz. So this is like above the optimum range of what most animals actually use. So we do. I mean, of course, there are going to be issues with every product that we arise, and that's a really good issue that you pointed out. And yeah.
So this is question for grade 11. So your heartbeat, right? You're saying that some like infants and kids they like listen to the mother's heartbeat and it will make them sleep. So like my question is, what if it becomes too addictive for the child? And like the child always wants to hear it. Like what happens?
What if it doesn't work?
Like it can like you say screams, right? So
Question, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's it?
What if it doesn't work?
What if it doesn't work?
Obviously, every child is different, and we can't like guarantee that every child is going to, be definitely going to respond the same way. But a lot of studies show that a lot of children recognize this voice, and a lot of children will feel a lot more calm. And on your addiction point, so thing is, there has to be a balance in the way that you use it, right? Just like the way I've seen that people lose their balance when they use lullabies. Lullabies in a little bit of YouTube for the child is not so bad. Little bit of lullabies for the child is not so bad. Just like that, you have to find a balance in the way that you use this device. You can't just be using it all the time, right? Because then the child knows nothing else. But if you use it in the right amount and at the right time, then you can have a good balance and a good way to use this thing.
Yeah, so this is not an excuse to stop parenting. We're not making this product as an excuse for parents to slack off or anything. But you take care of your child all the time, you lose your sleep, you lose focus at your job, whatever it is. So you just need some rest. This is just for when you have to spend time away from your kid to focus on yourself. So this is just a backup plan, a safety measure. So it's not a primary parenting trick so you can be lazy and not take care of your children.
Here I was, the mother of a toddler, thinking that could be an easy way out. Alright, we know there are many questions, but we have run short of time. I think we are ready with the results. So, by the time they are coming, we exposed you to Cyclish to design thinking last year. From writing the first round and today, how have you changed?
Well, I find myself thinking at night before going to sleep a lot more now. And it's actually such a great thing that we've implemented teams this year, because even in previous years when it was individual, the emphasis on teamwork was very strong. Even the individuals would be asked, how do you think design thinking would work in a team? And that really didn't work. So I've found a lot of difference in myself in this session alone, seeing these teams working together. And over the past few years, implementing it in teams in the smallest of things, like Talents Day, with our annual day and whatnot, whether dancing. We are able to talk to each other and figure out what is the best thing that we can possibly do in many innovative ways. So it's great that Geet has done this for so long. Design thinking is an amazing initiative. So thank you
Now I would like to invite Sir and Kavya ma'am to announce the winners. Ma'am, sir, let's see who's going to win.
Yeah, before announcing the winners and giving them the laurels, a few words. Every discussion or every activity, it could be wonderful if all of you can participate. Unfortunately, we have not done any designing for that yet. But the design we have right now is, you are the audience. As audience also, you should be totally involved. You should think about it, ask questions to yourself. You should think about what you would have done if you were there. So that's how you participate, not just being a dumb audience. I'm sure you are not a dumb audience. You will keep thinking about it. Though you could not come up to the stage and present, you have many presentations going on in your mind. That's what you should do. That's how it makes the whole school different. Number two, they worked very hard. All the 5 teams, it's not a joke, I'm sure I talked about sleep, but they would have lost a lot of it to come up to this level. It's wonderful to see them applying themselves and creating, which is a rare thing. And I'm sure that will improve their grades in the exam also. That will improve the grades in their life also. That's the intention. Okay, it is not only marks, of course marks and the quality of life. You will be able to design many things, solve many problems, create many things, innovate many things. That's what we want all of you to do. Coming to the last bit of it, whenever there is a competition, there will be somebody called winner, somebody called a loser. Actually, that's not correct. Somebody would be recognized more than, or slightly more than the others. There's no question of losers. So out of the 5 teams, it's nice to see an 8th standard child competing with a 12th standard child. 4 years difference. But I didn't see much of a difference in their presentation. It is not anything to say about the 12th grade, but it's a lot to say about the 8th grade. And the 12th grade is a good example for the 8th grade. So, finally, the team that walks away with the cake is the average. Not 8th, not 12th, it is the 10th. Congratulations to the 10th, and I thank a lot. I thank all the mentors who are supporting this, all the other children and parents who support this, otherwise this activity cannot reach this level. So may I request ma'am to honor them with the certificates. 10th grade.
Alankrata, Goyal and Aditya Singh. Please come forward as they receive the certificates. Give the clap for
You said you didn't say anything.
Thank you.
Mine's blank actually. I can't really think of anything.
Okay, you use body language than English.
But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It's fun.
So we would also like to give away the participation certificates to all the finalists. Let's call upon Upasana. Saanvi Prasanna, sorry. Tamanna Sukesh. Varen Singhai. Vagish Agarwal. Iyengar. Aditya,
Skanda and Arihant. And last but not least, Rishi. It takes a lot of effort to come to this point, so I need a lot of
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Would you like to say a few words? Just one thing, right? Make an announcement. With so much of effort on, I think they can achieve a lot. I mean, the teams, if they have further time and resources. So, whatever resources these teams want, the school will provide, and they will have an opportunity to present these models during our event. So they can talk to more people, find out more and perfect it more, rectify based on the questions and present it during MAC. We would like to see you all in the MAC. Thank you.
Good morning all. Very frankly speaking, I didn't know what to expect because they told me it was from grades 8 to 12. I generally go on for juries for students who are actually doing design, bachelor's in design. So I was really surprised with the amount of work the students have done. Design students do it day in and day out. Here they had to manage the academics and everything, their day-to-day things with the schools, and still they came up with this, and astonished was it was just 1 month's time. So fantabulous job by everybody out here. And a lot of time we have a lot of design festivals which are generally attended by designers. And a lot of students are left out, and the entire design fraternity is always speaking about how do you bring about design thinking in school. I'm extremely happy to be in one such environment where we are practicing design thinking. Not just with this competition, I just took a stroll around school when I came here. But even if you look at the kind of posters that have been put, these are things that you see in a design school, where you say the entire process is what is important, not the product. I've seen this in one of the design schools, and I see that here in a school. All of you are really blessed to be in such an environment. I think you should take full advantage with all the resources that have been provided to you, and I'm sure these children have a huge way and a great future ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, congratulations to all of you. It has been a real honor for all the teachers and all of us who have been involved in this process for the last couple of months. And to be honest, once again, I'm at a point where I feel sad and relieved at the same time that it's done. We really thank you on behalf of the Giis family, Kavya ma'am, that you took out some time and you came. You really are very, very, very blessed to have our chairman sir, who every year writes a beautiful note after the session and tells us what all we can do to become better and better every year. So we try to do that. Special thanks to Sarvesh sir, Vikivan, and everybody who's present here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.